called out to her darker side. As she approached, she couldn't help but feel a strange draw towards him. With a gentle but firm grip on his wrist, she checked his pulse and frowned at the faint beat beneath her fingertips. He had a terminal heart condition, his time on this earth rapidly running out. "Well now," she whispered to herself, the corners of her lips curling into a sinister smile. "It seems we have ourselves a candidate for the final ride." She watched him closely, observing his shallow breaths and the way his chest rose and fell beneath the thin hospital gown. His eyes flickered open for a brief moment and met hers, filled with fear and uncertainty. It wasn't the first time she'd encountered such looks from her patients. They all knew what was coming, but none could truly prepare for it. It was her job to make sure they were comfortable until the inevitable moment arrived. Gloria Culling's laugh was cold and harsh, echoing through the otherwise quiet room. She pulled a syringe from her pocket, its contents unknown to anyone but herself. Diluting the dosage just enough to make it lethal, she injected it into the large vein protruding from his forearm. The man gasped at the unexpected prick of pain before going limp once more. With a satisfied smirk, Gloria leaned over him, her hot breath tickling his ear as she spoke softly, "Rest now, my dear. Your end is near." She watched as his chest rose and fell slower, shallower, until finally it ceased altogether. His eyes, once filled with fear, now glazed over and stared blankly at the ceiling. The nurse's heart skipped a beat in excitement. It was almost intoxicating, the power she felt in those moments. Moving swiftly yet silently, she grabbed a pillow from the nearby chair and placed it firmly over his face, muffling any potential noise as she pressed down on it. The man struggled weakly, his final gasps for air muffled under. Soon enough, his movements ceased entirely. Gloria pulled the pillow away and observed his lifeless form, feeling no remorse or guilt. Another job well done. She wiped the sweat from her brow and straightened her uniform before leaving the room to dispose of the body, already plotting her next move. The story of Abacus Cronell blooming field by Thomas Miller. In the golden heart of a bustling city that thrived on oil and opulence, Abacus Cronell Bloomingfield carved his empire. His name was synonymous with wealth and power, a titan among men in the oil industry. Apis, with his keen eye for business and relentless drive, transformed the Bloomingfield name into a beacon of success. Yet, beneath the glittering surface of prosperity lay a labyrinth of personal turmoil and estrangement. As the years passed, Abacus grew increasingly detached from his family. His relentless pursuit of wealth had created a chasm between him and his loved ones, a chasm deepened by misunderstandings and neglected relationships. The dinner table, once a place of laughter and shared stories, became a silent battlefield of unspoken grievances and buried resentments. Apicus's wife, Eleanor, and their 2 children, Charles and Eliza, longed for a sliver of his time and affection, but the oil tycoon was too consumed by his empire to notice the growing rift. His heart, once tender and full of love, had hardened like the steel of his derricks. Tragedy struck on a cold winter night. A devastating fire claimed the ancestral Bloomingfield mansion, taking with it Eleanor, Charles, and Eliza. Abacus was left to face the smouldering ruins of his home, and the empire he had built stood as a mocking testament to the cost of his neglect. In the depths of his despair, Abacus encountered Helena, a woman whose warmth and compassion pierced through the veil of his grief. She was unlike anyone he'd ever known, a beacon of light guiding him through his darkest hour. Helena's presence brought a semblance of peace to Abacus's tormented soul, and in her